Welcome to match day 4 of this season's Champions League campaign. Manchester City arrive in Greece to take on Olympiakos, knowing a point will be enough to see us qualify for the last 16 with 2 games to spare. We can see the team arriving off their coach at the stadium with their mask and their music ready to take on Olympiacos in the Champions League. Now, we can go through our starting lineup. It starts with Ederson in goal. Benjamin, Mendy, Ruben Diaz, John Stones and João Cancelo make up the defence. And then we have Bernardo Silva, Rodrigo, Ilkay Gundogan, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus completing our starting 11. We can see some of the players that will be making, hopefully, an appearance this evening as they are on the substitutes bench. Some names to look out for: Tommy Doyle, Cole Palmer as well. And we did see Felix Nemecha coming off the bus. Now, welcome to We're Not Really Here. Joining me, Kyle Walker. We've got Richard Dunne, Paul Dickov, and of course, Natalie Paweleck as well. But we do start the show with some sad news, Natalie.
Yeah, just before we came on air this evening, we did have the breaking news that football legend Diego Maradona has died at the age of 60. The former Argentina attacking midfielder and manager had a cardiac arrest at his home. One of the greatest players of all time, Maradona was captain when Argentina won the World Cup in 1986, producing a series of sublime individual performances. And we were just talking about him, Paul, and you were saying how he is one of your heroes.
Yeah, he was my hero growing up, fantastic player, and just tragic news, just turned 60, such a young age. But no, it's, I'm a little bit taken aback by it. He was not just a fantastic player, but an icon. People call him a bit of a flawed genius, but for me, he was a genius, full stop.
Our thoughts are with Diego Maradona's family, and I'm sure the footballing world are sending their love to them as well. Right, we are here for the Champions League. Manchester City have travelled to Greece. They take on Olympiakos in the 4th game of the current campaign. And Richard, I'll come to you on this one. Manchester City are in the driving seat of their group. 3 games, 3 wins, 9 goals, and we only need a point to go through.
Yeah, this is where we've got a lot of joy this season. The goals have flown really well in the Champions League, and tonight's another opportunity to put the weekend behind and move forward and try and find that rhythm where we're scoring goals again freely.
Definitely, and we have to talk about some of the team news. We did go through it there, but I'll go through it one more time. Starting lineup, we've got Ederson, Benjamin Mendy, Ruben Diaz, John Stones and João Cancelo. Let's focus on the defence a little bit, Paul, because Mendy's coming back into the frame, and then we've got Ruben Diaz, John Stones and João Cancelo as well. Are you confident in that defence?
I'm always confident, Kyle. You know that. But great to see Mendy back, Benjamin Mendy after injury. And John Stones back out there as well. He's had a taste of the Champions League this season already, and he's done really well. And Ruben Diaz has been exceptional since he's come in. So, and Cancelo for me has been one of our players of the season so far. Whether he started right back or left back, and he showed the last time that he's got a goal in him as well. So I'm very confident with that, as always.
Yeah, and one of our players of the season also, obviously, it mentioned a lot, is Kyle Walker. Now, he's rested tonight. He didn't travel, which, of course, gives Cancelo the opportunity to move to his to the right side, which perhaps people say is his preference. When you've had so many games, and you've had, we have so many games at the minute, Richard, it's so important for Kyle to get a break and for the other players to get a chance as well.
It is, yeah, and it's certainly the players who have to go away on international duty as well. It all takes its toll on the amount of travelling they're doing, and the lack, I suppose, of a rest between last season and this season is will catch up with people, and we're seeing so many injuries. So Man City are very fortunate with the squad that's available. You see some young lads on the bench today, but they've got the quality to play in the Champions League. So when the opportunity comes around, the manager's taking it, and it's great. It keeps the whole squad positive and feeling involved.
I'll let you in on a little secret. Normally when Kyle Walker's travelling with the squad, I have no issues getting into the stadium because they say, well, the other Kyle Walker's there. Today, because he's not gone, because he's not in the lineup right there, they were like, what, Kyle Walker? You don't look like him. I said, you see me every week, come on. So, yeah, we have to talk a little bit about that midfield, though, as well. Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Gundogan. I feel like Gundogan and also Rodri playing that too, which we've seen, and then Bernardo Silva. Tonight is a real opportunity for Bernardo to show what he's capable of. We've seen it in Europe before, Paul, and hopefully he can do that tonight.
Yeah, and especially Ilkay, he seems to be the go-to man, especially in the Champions League. Plays a lot. Scored a wonderful free kick, before this season already, and it's going to be interesting what me and Richard were talking before, whether Bernardo plays in front of them or whether Phil Foden can go in there as well, and Bernardo comes out wide on the right, or whether they flick in between the both of them, depending how the game's going. But Bernardo Silva's, I think he's one of everyone's favourite player. He does everything with a smile on his face, and whether it's on the pitch or off the pitch, and he's got some real quality in there as well.
Yeah, I still get really excited for the first sort of 5-10 minutes of a game, trying to work out who's playing where. And as whenever you see sort of Foden and Bernardo, you do wonder. Obviously, there's a good opportunity for them to sort of move and switch during the game. But how do you think it's going to start, Richard?
Yeah, I think, like Paul says, it's trying to work out whether it will be Bernardo Silva in that central place or Foden. And it's the beauty of the squad is they can mix around, they can interchange positions, and they're all comfortable wherever they play. I think the biggest thing for them all is to have that freedom to go and play attacking football, to go and try and find what they had last season. We've seen certainly in the Premier League maybe not as many goals as we'd like to in like recent years, but it will change, and it's just, it might take tonight, it might take one performance which changes the whole season, and hopefully we can see it tonight.
And we need to talk about that attacking front three. Phil Foden, Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling, Paul. We've seen what these three can do. They're like a deadly duo. We've also got, or trio I should say, we've also got Aguero on the bench as well. We've already scored 9. They're going to go for more.
Absolutely, and the Olympiacos game here at the Etihad, it was 3-0, but it could have been a lot more. And I think having seen Phil Foden back out there tonight after his exploits with England last week, where he was outstanding, I think everybody in the club was delighted for him, and he's on a high. He's scoring goals, he's creating. Gabby's came back in from his injury, hit the ground running, and as you said, that man Aguero on the bench as well. But I think it just shows you the strength we've got. And going back to the midfielders, great to see Fernandinho back in the bench as well.
Yeah, absolutely love Fernandinho. As Kyle mentioned before, we only need a point today to cement qualifying to the next round. Do you think that might be on some of the players' minds, sort of thinking, come on, let's get this done quick and then I might get a rest, because we know how many games we're playing at the minute?
They'll certainly want to qualify tonight and just put it all to bed in terms of that, but it will give hopefully some of the younger academy players the opportunity to get more experience and more playing time. But as a team, they need to win. They need a morale booster almost. And tonight's again an opportunity. They've been outstanding so far in the Champions League, and they'll feel the same tonight. They're not going to go out looking for a point to qualify. They'll be looking for goals. They'll be looking for a convincing victory, and they'll hopefully put a smile on all our faces. Now,
convincing victory is what happened last time out. Manchester City beating Olympiacos 3-0. We can see some of those goals right now. It starts with the Torres goal. Now, Paul, it was just some beautiful play, wasn't it, where you think this team, they're really in touch with each other, linking up, and Torres looks like he could be such a special player for us.
He does, and for somebody so young, only 20 years old, coming in, big, massive move for him, and to hit the ground running, playing out of position a lot of the time as well. But the touch there on the return sets him up, and it's a great finish, and he's playing with a lot of confidence, and he was outstanding on the night.
He was indeed. And Richard, when you're looking at this team, how they're linking up together, we've talked often about Phil Foden with Ferran Torres as well. It feels like they are starting to build this kind of bond together. But all of these players, they're training together day in, day out. They're going to know how each other play and where they like it on the football pitch, aren't they?
Yeah, and it takes time, obviously, and I suppose the amount of games they're playing probably removes that opportunity to train a little bit more with each other. But they're finding it out on the job. They're working hard, and we've seen glimpses of it this season of lovely play. And they're young lads, so they're all trying to make a point for themselves and prove a point to get into the starting team. And we've seen glimpses of it, and hopefully, well, you can see that it's going to grow as it goes along.
It is indeed. Right, I think we can see the second goal after Olympiacos made it a little bit more difficult for Manchester City in that second half. It didn't come until late on in the second half, and we can see this move right here. I mean, Paul, what a finish that was. Gabriel Jesus right there. He knows how to strike a ball, doesn't he?
He does, but it was a fantastic move. Playing between the thirds as well know they can do, and great finish. He'd done the defender a little bit there. He went as if he was going to shoot just to give himself that half a yard, and I think I'm right in saying it was his first game back for a while as well. This game, and to hit the ground running like that was fantastic, especially with Sergio being out. There's been a lot of responsibility, not just on Ferran Torres but on Gabriel Jesus. But I say it all the time. I'm a huge fan of his, and I know from the outside he gets a little bit of stick, but his goals per game or goals per minute's record is outstanding and up there with the very best.
Paul, how difficult is it to actually come back from injury and that kind of first tentative minutes of getting back out there on the football pitch, because you aren't going to be match fit, you aren't going to be ready, and especially when you're up top and City do rely on you for goals. What is that like as a player?
It's all down to mindset, Kyle, and being positive. If you go back into games after an injury, especially if you've been out for a few games and you're a little bit tentative about what you're going to do, and it's going to take you such a long time to get back into the swing of things and the sway of things. If you're mentally strong and you know that you've put the work in and you've been injured, because people say they're injured, they're not training. Sometimes you train harder when you're injured to get back in and to get back into the team being fit again. And that's what's impressed me about Gabriel Jesus, not just now, but even when he first came in as a 19-year-old. He must be so mentally strong. He's made the move from Brazil as a young kid. He's came into a big club that's winning things. He's got Sergio Aguero there. And his mental toughness is up there with the very best.
Yeah, I often think that how difficult it must be to be 19 years old and to move to a new continent, for a language, it's not your first language, and to be expected to just slot in. And I think sometimes it feels like we put a bit pressure on these young players. The next goal, though, of course, in this game was Cancelo, the man that you spoke about earlier, is saying obviously he's having an incredible season for us so far. As a defender as well, Richard, it's great to pop up with a goal as well.
I wouldn't know. No, it's amazing, and it helps the team so much when you've got a defender who can dribble forward, who can create opportunities and can put the ball in the back of the net. And you've seen with that finish, it's left-footed. It doesn't matter where he's playing, right back, left back. He can cut in on both sides. And I think having him in the team this season has given the manager the opportunity sometimes to bring him in and play in that holding midfield role as to let the other guys attack. And he's someone who's really massively benefited from regular game time this season. He's probably not had the confidence to play a lot of games in previous seasons, but this year he's playing every week and he's been outstanding.
As a fellow defender, have you ever struck a ball like that, scored a goal like that,
Not
Richard?
on purpose, no.
Maybe in training, maybe.
Maybe.
He used to do it all the time. Trust me on that. I thought he was going to go into some chopped onions thing there, like the goat did the other week. There, but I'm really glad you didn't, mate.
Paul, this team must be full of confidence. We've talked about how busy it is, the schedule, they're playing every 3 to 4 days. But to have an actual advantage over this group and to have an actual chance to qualify this evening so early on with 2 games to spare, they're going to want to get this done and dusted as quick as possible, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And going back to what Dunne was saying before, and when the group stages were drawn, we knew who we got. I'm sure in Pep Guardiola's head it was getting the job done as quick as possible. For lots of reasons. You don't want to be getting into the last couple of games with the pressure on, especially in the Champions League where anything can happen. And the fact that we'll be able to rest players tonight, we said already, with Kevin De Bruyne and Kyle Walker, they'll benefit hugely from that. And then get into the last 2 games, hopefully we see the likes of Tommy Doyle, who we've spoke about, Cole Palmer, we've got Liam Delap, we've seen already, and get the youngsters these experience of being involved in these big games.
Definitely. Now, we do have to have a look at how our opponents do line up this evening. Olympiakos, they are still unbeaten, I think it is, at home all season. This is their 8th game, all right, and they're yet to concede a goal at home this season. They start with this Jose Sarr, and then they've got Usanu Bar, Ruben Semedo, Pape, Abu Cisse, Made Kamara, Rafinha, Jan Mvila, Mohamed Drager, Kostas Fortounis, Pedro Rodriguez, and Georgios Mazouros. That is their starting lineup right there.
Could you repeat that again, please?
This is it. Sometimes that you can do all the research in the world, but when it comes to actually saying their names, the pressure is definitely on. I feel like, Richard, whoever it is Manchester City coming up against, we know what happened on Saturday with that defeat to Tottenham. They're out for blood tonight. It doesn't matter who Olympiacos start, does it?
No, and that's it. Olympiacos will see Man City as a massive scalp for them to try and get a result, and they'll try and defend, and they'll take tips from what Tottenham have done and Leicester have done and try and sit back. But City are a stronger side. City are really good, really dangerous, and against this sort of opposition, they'll be looking to go and exploit any gaps that they find. And well, I hope it's a long night for Olympiacos.
Obviously, it was a convincing win when we played them at home. Anything you saw in that game, Paul, that makes you think it might be different this time? Obviously, they're at home, and as Carl mentioned, they've got a great home record.
Yeah, their home record's unbelievable. But you know that they're a decent team. You know, I covered the game the last time, and one of the big things about the team selection tonight is Valbuena, who's usually the talisman. I know he's 34, but he's a fantastic player. They rely a lot on him for creating goals. And you know, the game here at the Etihad at half time, they brought Bruyne on, the young Portuguese international, who really caused us some problems. But they two are out injured tonight. You know, so as an attacking force, they're probably their two main men. But I say it all the time: if we play as we can play, and we're on the front foot and we really get at them, it's going to be, as Dunne said, it's going to be hopefully going to be a long night for them.
Now, one man who will be looking to keep a clean sheet this evening is, of course, Ederson, and he's been looking back at some of his own UEFA Champions League memories.
Pouco antes dos 15 anos, no princípio eu não gostava muito de futebol, aí meu irmão ia entrar na escolinha, aí eu acabava acompanhando ele e depois eu comecei jogando. Para atacar eu ia tranquilo, mas para voltar era difícil. Aí até meu treinador falava que precisava pegar um táxi para voltar para marcar. Aí, certo dia pedi para minha mãe falar com o treinador da escolinha para me colocar no gol, e dali eu fui pegando gosto e acabou virando a paixão.
It's an anecdote that's followed him throughout his career. A leading member of the new, modern generation of goalkeepers, Ederson of Manchester City is known as much for his talent with his feet as he is for his handling. In 5 years, the Brazilian has developed an armory of skills that have proved invaluable at the elite level of the game in the Champions League.
Hoje em dia o futebol requer goleiro moderno, né? Eu posso clicar aqui no... Vou esperar carregar o vídeo. Benfica e Besiktas. No momento que o lateral esquerdo tenta cortar a bola, ele acaba cortando com o pé do Quaresma. E ele acaba não dominando muito bem, adiantando muito a bola. Então eu, como já no Benfica jogava um pouco alto, foi mais fácil a leitura de jogo e interceptar com meio carrinho na bola. Vamos. Você olha a criação de início da jogada, com a marcação em cima do Nápoles. Qualquer outro time poderia dar o chutão, mas a gente procurou sair e buscar o companheiro livre. E foi um grande gol isso aqui. Não só foi mérito do Gabriel e do De Bruyne que deu assistência, mas do time todo que participou da jogada. Aqui, se eu não me engano, estava o minuto 93 do segundo tempo, 92, e o jogo estava empatado, estava 2-2, se eu não me engano. Eu vejo o Sterling levantando o braço assim, pedindo a bola, e eu falei, já que está no fim do jogo, não deixa de ser uma assistência, né?
With 44 goals in their last 16 UCL matches, there is no doubting the attacking capability of a Manchester City side who need just a point away to Olympiacos to progress to the knockout phase. But it's at the back in the more decisive matches where they will continue to be judged in this competition, with Ederson aware of his responsibility to ensure Pep Guardiola's side will have what it takes when the stakes increase.
O goleiro, ele é dos elementos que mais cansa na partida, porque você está mentalmente forte, focado na partida, isso cansa muito. Muitos dos jogos que eu não toco muito na bola, eu saio bastante cansado. Você ficar concentrado os 90 minutos, comunicando com seus companheiros, passando instruções. Isso, você querendo ou não, cansa muito, porque qualquer desequilíbrio de concentração pode resultar num gol, numa falha, ou errando numa bola, criando chance para o adversário. Então, eu acho que o principal do goleiro é a concentração no jogo.
Some interesting insight there from Ederson. It's quite intense, the way that Manchester City play. We've seen the pressure that they apply on other teams, and every single attack does seem to start with Ederson, Richard. As someone that's played just in front of goalkeepers your entire life, what would it be like to play in front of Ederson, do you think?
I don't think you need centre-half sometimes. He's that good his delivery of the ball is amazing, and he's been a huge addition to the squad since he's come in, and I think he plays nearly every week. I think when you look at good goalkeepers around the world and people say, well, he's great with his feet and he can pass it here and stuff, the most important thing is that he can make good saves and he can be dominant, and I think he is that. You know, he's a strong keeper, he makes great saves, and yes, he can play out from the back, and that's a huge bonus.
I thought it was so interesting what he was saying there, Paul, about how sometimes in a game where he doesn't touch the ball very much, he still finds it so mentally exhausting because he's so focused, and you can almost see that from the stands when you look at him on the pitch.
Yeah, and I think especially the way Manchester City play, you know, he's not called upon to make saves very often. I think that the sign of the top goalkeepers, I think I've said it in here before, you even go back to a certain club over the road, you know, with Schmeichel, you even look at Liverpool with Alisson. You know, every team that's successful and wins the league and goes on to win Champions Leagues, the top goalkeepers, and he is one. And the concentration levels, it must be so hard for him because, you know, he can go through more or less 90 minutes without even having a save to make, but it's when called upon, he's got to do it. And people talk about how good he is with his feet all the time, Natalie, but he makes big saves in big games, even when the games are tight, you know. And the amount of times it's been 0-0 or City have been 1-0 and dominating games, and the teams break, he's always there to come up with the big saves that is a big part of City going on and winning games.
Now, we always hear about the goalkeepers' union and how they're looking after each other, but if a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it generally will lead to a goal. For you as a striker, if you make a mistake, Paul, I know that you're going to put it away the next time. I knew that was coming, all right, but when a goalkeeper does it, they're 1-0 down, you're 2-1 down. You're always going to concede a goal pretty much if you do make a mistake. So how is that when you're at the top of the pitch and you see your goalkeeper make an absolute howler?
You see, I'm not with the strikers union, so we're always going to stick together. But it's true, you know, I've played in games, well, many a games where I've missed 3 or 4 chances, and you can end up scoring in the last minute and you're the hero when you've had the worst game ever. But for a goalkeeper, they can make 5 or 6 great saves and make one blunder and you lose 1-0. They're the one to blame. So I think that's part of what he's talking about there, about these concentration levels and how they've got to be so high all the time, because if they make one mistake in a game, it gets magnified so much, whereas a striker, if you miss a chance, well, especially in a team like Manchester City now, you know you're going to get another one and another chance to put it right.
Are the strikers union speaking to the goalkeepers union? Because now Ederson can assist you guys like he did in that Schalke game. So I'm thinking you need to be hooking up.
I would be. The way he strikes the ball and his vision is unbelievable, Dunne, isn't it?
Incredible. He's an incredible footballer. For someone to be able to play a 60, 70, 80-yard pass to someone's foot is difficult for the best outfield players. And for him, who doesn't touch the ball that often, and 95% of his passes are 5-10 feet to the midfielders, defenders, to be able to pick that out in certain aspects of the game is amazing.
Now, we all know that football fans across social media, the media, everyone talking about football can give out their criticism to different players. And I feel like Ederson has probably got some unfair criticism this week after the game against Tottenham at the weekend. We obviously suffered that defeat, Paul, and you've got to look at Ederson and some of the mistakes that people will say happened. We can see some of the goals and actually how they unfolded with Son and the speed that we saw from that game and from Tottenham's attack. At times, you've just got to say it's one of those days, haven't you?
You have, but also I think it's very easy to point the finger at certain individuals and at the team when things aren't going so well. And, you know, we tend not to give the opposition credit for how they played as well. And Tottenham were magnificent. You know, Son will know about his pace. The quick free kick has caught everybody off guard here, and it's a great little ball by Ndombele, and Son's run there is fantastic. You know, to come in between the full back and the centre half, and I know that they were saying, some so-called pundits at the weekend, about Ederson coming out too quick and dashing out, but that's what he does. He's made so many saves doing that for us, by being the sweeper keeper or by being in the front foot and coming out and blocking shots like that. So as much as people point the finger at him, I'm always one of these that you've got to be fair and give credit to the opposition as well. You know, Tottenham were fantastic in the day. Harry Kane for me was one of the best centre forward performances I've seen in a long time, you know, and just his all-round performance. I think they said, you know, in the first half he made more tackles than any other player on the pitch, so that tells you something. So maybe rather than pointing the finger, you've got to say, well, look, it's good play. Another thing about mistakes, it's a collective thing, you know. And if City have switched on with the first goal, Ederson doesn't have to come out and get the finger pointed at him, and you know, here as well, losing the ball in dangerous areas, and it's allowing them to break at pace. But the amount of times I've seen Ederson come out like that and try and narrow the angle, and Lo Celso was there and making the save. So, you know, we can't have it both ways all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you say there, when it's this sort of collective thing, especially when you're looking at that goal, in terms of the central defenders in that goal, Richard, is it just a case that Son is just so fast there, or, you know, or have they been caught out a little bit?
I think it's almost a new partnership trying to work itself together, and you're playing against Tottenham, are one of the top teams in Europe, so you're playing against good opposition, and you're trying to make things work under difficult circumstances. And sometimes, as a defender, if you go and make a mistake, but you're playing against someone who's not that clever, you get away with it a lot. But Son is in the form of his life, and as soon as they take that one step forward, he goes, there's an opportunity, and he's in behind, and even the two finishes are through the goalkeeper's legs. You know, probably the weakest area for anybody is to try and do it, but they found it. And like Paul says, it's talking about Tottenham are a really top side who could possibly win the Premier League this season. So it's not like they've had a really bad performance and been beaten by a poor team. They've been beaten by a really top side who played exceptionally well on the day as well.
And we did obviously have a lot of chances in the game as well. If you looked at the stats, you certainly wouldn't have, guessed the scoreline. If we look at some of the chances here that Jesus had as well, sometimes, Paul, like we were saying, it just doesn't happen for you. You can have all the great chances in the world, and it just one of those days. It
is, and you know, that chance there, I think probably summed the whole day up. You know, it's great play by Gabby, little give and go, twists inside, gets his shot blocked a little bit, and then has a shot that's going in the back of the net that hits Kevin De Bruyne, who's on the floor. You know, any other day that goes in, and they're off and running. And then the one later on when it's been chopped off for Laporte's goal for handball, and you know, we've not got long enough. Don't even get me started on this stupid handball rule and what is and what isn't. But great feat by Gabby there. Great tackle, you've got to say, and then you know, De Bruyne coming up and hitting him on his floor. Probably somebody up early on in the game.
If one player's striking the ball, I don't want it to be Kevin De Bruyne if I'm in front of it and I'm lying on the ground and I can't get out the way of it. We have got to talk about bouncing back, though, Paul, from that defeat, because we've talked about it time and time again. The diary is very, very full. The schedule's very busy. And you've got to put that to the back of your mind and go, right, we made a few mistakes. We've got to move on. It's Champions League next. And this team can do that.
It is. And over a course of time, over the course of the last few years, the one thing we've been very good at is bouncing back after we've had a poor result, not necessarily a poor performance. And they'll know that tonight. You know, they're top. They're not just world-class players, but their mentality and taking one game at a time. You know, even the Centurion season and getting 100 points and breaking all sorts of records. You know, when you listen to Pep after the game, the players after the game, that was always about the next game, not looking too far ahead. And they'll be doing that again tonight, getting the job done, winning the group, and then relax.
And after the game against Tottenham, Kevin De Bruyne did a really honest interview, I thought, which he often does, which he's so good at. And he was talking about the handball decision, Paul, in a similar way to you just were. And he was sort of saying along the lines of, he doesn't know what the rule is these days. And I have to admit, I feel like I don't know what the rule is these days either. Richard, can you make me and Kevin feel any better?
It's just a guessing game. You just honestly don't know. It seems to be if the ball touches your hand in any circumstances, it's either a penalty or it's a free kick, and it's very difficult for players to understand it. And I think the sooner the better. I think IFAB are all meeting to try and discuss the handball rule and try and sort it out and make it clear, because if you're a fan of football, or you're trying to explain the rules to a child who loves football, it's almost impossible. You don't know how to tell them the offside rule, and I don't know how to tell them the handball rule, so it needs to be cleared out.
And look, even Mike Dean and don't even get me started on him either. Look, he's watched it, and watch where he points. He points to the part of his arm where the new rule says it's legal and it should be a goal. And why VAR?
Don't worry, Dickie. Stop.
Go on, move on.
It's always this fixture as well, though, isn't it? Because we saw in the quarterfinals of the Champions League taking on Tottenham, we had VAR heartbreak at the Etihad. I think I was literally sat about 5 metres away from where I am now, in tears after that late goal that we thought went in, and then there was just heartbreak. And then again last season, it seems to be VAR. Richard, we've always talked about VAR since it was introduced into the game. That plus the rule changes, it feels like it's a bit of a recipe for disaster right now. Yeah, and it's very difficult to enjoy the game because you're looking at things and you think, well, that's a goal or that's offside, and then they go and review it, and you still think it's a goal, you still think it's offside, but then they have a different opinion of it, and it's almost like the lines they draw suit them to however they want to feel, and obviously it's not, but that's what it looks like sometimes. And you need a clarity, you need to understand how the game is organised and what offside is, what a handball is, and it should be that I know it, that Paul knows it, we all know it, and it's not just a secret referees, a society who decide.
And I genuinely think that the referees themselves don't really know from week to week, or not even week to week, from game to game. You know, you can watch the games all over the weekend and the same decision will be given one way, and then a different game the same decision will be given another way. And you know, Dunne's bang on. It's a little bit of clarity for everybody within it, and it is. For me, it's taking the enjoyment away from watching it. And
as you were saying that, it made me think, on this side of the sofas you have two Scots, and obviously we had the recent qualification, the penalties, where there was that moment where we all stopped celebrating and thought, hold on, we better check that this is right.
Well, even Big Marsh in goal couldn't celebrate properly. You know, he's made the save that's getting us through to our first major championship, and he's made it, and he's went to celebrate, and then he stopped to look to see if it was okay, and it's taken. It
takes away the emotion. If you score a winning goal and you want to take your top off and run around the stadium and everything like that, but you have to wait 30 seconds. By the time the referee then, it is a goal, it's like, well, the moment's gone.
Yeah. You got to put the top back on, everyone's celebrating, and you go, it's been chalked off. Right, we need to talk a little bit about club captain Fernandinho. He's back in the squad this evening. Hopefully he can make his 90th UEFA Champions League appearance if he does come up off the bench. But there is an exclusive feature coming up on City Plus in the next few weeks called Fernandinho Captain.
In the first moments when I arrived, he just told me, feel at home, wherever you need, just speak with me. And that is important for a player that has just come.
¡Fernandinho!
Fernandinho tiene mucho sentido común y mucho sentido de la colectividad. Es alguien que es capaz de subvertir sus intereses por el beneficio colectivo.
There are a few better from that kind of distance.
At the end, he's a legend of the club. He's been here for a long time. He knows exactly what the club needs.
Capitán no es solo el que lleva el brazalete, el que lleva el distintivo de capitán, sino que tiene que mostrarlo. Y Fernandinho precisamente tiene esta cualidad, líder dentro del campo, pero también fuera.
It's Fernandinho on the score sheet.
Big honor for me, you know, to be chosen as a must-hit captain, and so it was a proud moment for me.
And you can catch that coming up on City Plus in the next few weeks. Let's talk Fernandinho. He is the club captain. I just mentioned there he could make his 90th Champions League appearance. What I've realised over the past few weeks with having him out is how important he actually is. The jobs that he does that go unnoticed by so many but are vital, Paul.
Yeah, not just the last few weeks. I think over the course of the time he's been here. You know, when he has been out, he's been sorely missed. When he's in the team, I think the last couple of seasons maybe, but to begin with, he didn't get the credit he deserved, you know, and he's the sort of unsung hero that every successful team needs, you know. He's the one that puts out fires left, right and centre all over the pitch and breaks things up and lets the De Bruynes, the Sterlings, the Agueros, the David Silvas at the time not take all the glory, but go and play their stuff. And you know, the biggest thing you can say about him is how badly he's missed when he's not there. And you know, Dunne will probably appreciate it more, having somebody like that playing in front of you as a defender. It must have been amazing for them.
I think even you look at the 2 goals that they conceded on Sunday, it's like the first one, he would have just stood in front of the ball until everyone was set and he wouldn't have allowed that quick free kick. And the second one, he would have been in that middle of the pitch area where Kane picked it up and he probably would have fouled him. And it stops the whole game, and it's like, it's not attractive or whatever, but it's so effective. And you talk about, the manager spoke this week about trying to find that oomph back again to make the team go again. And having him as the, right, you press here, you do this, and organising the attacking side of things as well is so valuable. And even when he's in the team at centre half, you still miss him in centre midfield, and you want him playing there all the time. And he's such an important player.
And of course, last season he stepped into that role as well in the centre of defence, and he did it so well.
He does do it brilliantly well, and he certainly doesn't look out of place. But you still notice that he's not in centre midfield, and he's not that one guy who's blocking the opportunities coming to the attackers or to stop the defenders having to defend. And he's just the ultimate defensive midfielder, I think, in this era.
His game management's amazing, and he's people talk about awareness on the ball, but his awareness without the ball, and the other team's gotten, you know, smelling danger left, right and centre. And he always says, Dunne said there, you know, and I think Saturday night's a prime example. You know, he would have seen that already and used his experience. I'm not saying he always gives away tactical free kicks, but that's a massive part of the game, is knowing when to do it and when not to do it, and being in the right place at the right time.
And of course, this season as well, the players chose him as captain. That must have been it must be so much pride for him. Obviously, you've been there yourself, Richard. How did they choose in your era? Was it the manager or was it the players?
No, it was always the manager. Who would pick, and generally they would pick.
He would never have got it if it was the players.
I think it was generally defenders that they looked at, because of being able to see the game in front of you. And I think goalkeepers were too far back and generally too mad to be considered, so it was sort of that line. But it's a great honour, and it's an amazing thing to do, and to be a captain. But you look at the teams now, everyone needs to be leaders. Every position you need someone who can lead, and I think the squad are very fortunate in that they have plenty around.
Now, the game has developed over the years, and one thing you just mentioned there was Fernandinho's ability to put out the fires, and that does sometimes happen with the tactical fouls. They're an art in themselves, Paul, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and it's been clever about it, you know. And I think because Fernandinho's been that good at being in the right place at the right time and making the right decisions, it's sort of riled people at other clubs and certain aspects of the media. But it's an art, you know. And you take away that side of it, and you look at the ability he's got as a footballer as well. You know, and I think the first game as an attacking midfielder. You know, when he was at Shakhtar, that was sort of his role. Then it was the box-to-box one, and the last sort of 4 or 5 years he's sat in there and probably been one of the best central defenders defensive midfielders, not just in Europe but in the world.
Now, the men's team aren't the only ones to get the full Greek experience this week. Michael Brown and Sean Wright-Phillips were the latest to compete in our European cuisine challenges. So let's see how they got on with the Souvlaki challenge.
Never seen a presenter lost for words before. See him in 10 minutes.
My dear friends, we have another European-themed cooking challenge on the way for you. I'm taking on a Greek-themed cuisine with Sean Wright-Phillips and Michael Brown. You guys are going to be taking on a vegan chicken souvlaki. Our chef has prepared how it should be done earlier on in the kitchen, as you can see here, and I believe has given you guys a little demo on what you need to be doing in the challenge. There's a few bases to be covered. Yeah. Are you feeling set and ready, Sean?
I'm calling the chef over right now.
You are the chef, okay? So here are Sean Wright-Phillips and Michael Brown taking on a vegan chicken souvlaki. You got a favourite holiday destination in Greece, like?
Favourite? It's all good, isn't it?
Right now, I'm in total concentration mode, not listening to anything Cal is saying because I don't want to burn or mess anything up.
Whiz it up. Get it going a little bit, Cal.
Time, chef. What time we got? The pressure. Here
Nailed
goes
it,
nothing.
righty. Nailed it.
You nailed it, yeah?
Nailed it, mate.
No, it's fine.
Lovely aromas.
Well,
Lovely
nice.
aromas.
I'm gonna add a bit more now you said that. I'll just give it a little bit more. A little bit. Not too much though, don't want to kill it. Don't want it too salty.
Yeah, I can see your face, chef. Voila!
Don't rush it, Sean. You have to relax and enjoy
Oh, I forgot
it.
something.
Oh, hang on, hang on a minute. Look, yours looks nice, mate.
They both give a good account of themselves, definitely. I'm going to have to say Michael's is definitely looking
This is criminal.
much. Sorry. Sorry, Sean. Sorry. Yeah. It makes it worse.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted. It's the first cooking thing I've ever won that. Just by look. I won't say I've won the taste, but I've won the look. I'll take something from it. I haven't got everything wrong.
But we, of course, the most important thing with food is taste.
But do you know what the good thing about that is? You can just have a little pick of the top first. It's a boomerang.
You got it?
You used to those kebabs, then you Cal?
What are you saying, Gal? You can't hear you. Is it nice, mate?
Let me hear it.
Great flavours going on. I think the relish or whatever that was you just put on the bottom.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you.
So, Sean?
This should be an easy roll.
Dry. You got a glass of water, please.
That was right.
What was that?
Enjoyable experience, Sean.
I can tell it's around the side of your mouth.
Michael, I think for this cuisine,
Well done, Bruyne.
the crown.
Delighted.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Well done.
I hope the wife doesn't see it now. She'll make me make tea every single night.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit jealous of Kel there getting to enjoy the souvlaki. He looked like he definitely enjoyed both of those. Congratulations to Michael Brown for winning our European Cuisine Challenge. We do need to focus on Greece because our one and so far only Greek player in the City first team was a teammate of both Paul and Richard, Georgios Samaras, who joined City when he was only 20 years old. And we can see now how he was as a player, but you guys know firsthand. Paul, I'll come to you first. What was he like?
Just a lovely, lovely guy. Really good player as well. You know, I don't think people even realised at the time how young he was, Dunne. You know, obviously came in, was in Holland at the time and came over and, you know, they'd done really well. Scored a few goals and obviously being a striker and training with him, I appreciated what a talent he was, and he was probably a victim of us not creating a lot of chances in the team that he played in, because you could see in training what a talent he was, but just a fantastic guy.
And it was a weird time as well back then. In the 2 years, he was here between 2006 2008, and he had 3 managers during that time, and it was obviously a very transitional period for the club as well. But following us, he went to Celtic and had 7 great years at Celtic, and he's still extremely highly thought of up in Scotland.
He's loved up there. My friends are all Celtic fans and they absolutely adore him. They think he's amazing. And for us, it was unfortunate period, I suppose. He came, and I remember speaking to Stuart Pearce at the time, and he was saying, look, we have £6.5 million is all we have in our budget, and we're going to spend it all on this one kid, and he's going to change and save our season. So it's very big pressure to put on a 20-year-old lad to come from, I think he was at Holland, and he'd started the season really well, and like he says, we weren't a free scoring team or creating lots of chances, so it's hard. But in terms of a person, it was amazing. Such a lovely guy and such a gentle fella, and that was probably maybe might have been his downfall, because the centre halves in the Premier League are generally strong and physical, and it took him a little bit of time to learn it. But certainly a very good player, and obviously went on to prove it up in Celtic.
Now, you both said that he was a victim of not creating too many chances for him. Well, there was definitely a chance or two that were created that maybe he didn't put away. Let's have a look at one of these just now. Richard, I think you had a bit of a hand to play with this one. Look at that ball.
It was a clearance. Just stick it away and he was in. But that was the thing. He had that ability. He wanted to always drift out onto the left wing and try and find that space. And it's almost like when we're under the pressure, he would drift into that space. And if you found him, I mean, that wasn't great, was it? But generally, he was better than that.
Now, I'm not sure on the records. I need to check the stats, but that would have been an assist for you. Were you fuming after you saw that? That could have been a good assist for you.
Yeah, it would have been a nice. I seen one actually the other day that had set up for Sean Roy Phillips, and I never knew I'd done any. So that's almost 2 in a week.
Well, hopefully, if anyone gets put through like that this evening, we will definitely see them put away.
That was a bit harsh on that miss, I think.
It was a good pass, though.
Great pass. Strikers Union again. That was a bit harsh.
It was indeed. Right, if you are just joining us, we can talk you through Manchester City's starting lineup for this evening. In goal, we've got Ederson. And then in our defence, we've got Benjamin Mendy, Ruben Diaz, John Stones and João Cancelo. And then in that midfield, we've got Bernardo Silva, Rodrigo, Ilkay Gundogan. And then up front, the attacking trio, the deadly trio with Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Jesus. On the bench, we've got Zach Stefan, Sergio Aguero, Alexander Zinchenko, Aymeric Laporte, Ferran Torres. We've also got Fernandinho, Riyad Mahrez, Tommy Doyle, Cole Palmer. And then I have to actually go to the next sheet because it's the Champions League. You can have plenty of substitutes tonight. We've also got Scott Carson, Garcia's on there, Felix Nemecha, and then we've also got, who else? Have I missed anyone? I think that's it. I think that's the full list right there. There's loads and loads of players. Paul, it's super important though, isn't it, that these players do get game time. If City score early, then I think we will see some of the youngsters, hopefully.
Yeah, and I'm just going to, not just the youngsters, but get some game time into Sergio Aguero and Fernandinho coming back from injury. You know, it's always great to get the youngsters in the pitch, and, you know, likes of Felix, Tommy Doyle and Cole, but whenever they've been called upon, that they've done really well. But I think you're bang on, Kyle. They'll be looking to get the game in the bag as early as they can. Hopefully, you know, get a couple of goals up, then going into the back end of the second half, getting some much needed game time into the other players.
Yeah, and a few goals tonight, which we have done 9 so far, I want to say, in the group in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Nice. A few goals tonight might help with the sort of the confidence issue around goal scoring at the minute.
It will do, and hopefully it's Jesus gets a couple and people are creative and people are getting the opportunity to put the ball in the net and feeling that elation of scoring goal can drive you on and make you want to do it again. And it's important to get a victory tonight, and it's very important to try and get that rhythm back going in the side.
Do you think some of these players who we can see beautifully warming up just there with their resistance bands, getting their squats in and their legs warm, do you think they'll be looking at some of the results from last night, Paul? Obviously, Barca, Seville, Juventus, Chelsea, they all qualified last night. There's a potential, obviously, moving forward that we could face any of those in the competition at some stage. Do you think they would have been looking at the games last night?
Yeah, they would have been watching it, but they'll also look as well, you know, especially Barca, Chelsea. You know, they didn't run away with the games last night where they were big favourites in them. You know, so as much as they'll be watching them about possible opponents later on, they'll realise that, you know, in the Champions League, it's no matter who you play, where you play, it's going to be difficult, and, you know, that's the edge that will keep them on their toes tonight.
Now, one player that's absolutely smashing it in the Champions League this season is Erling Haaland. He is the tournament's top scorer at the minute, and he got another 2 goals last night. So first of all, I'd like to know, do either of you know his dad, and can you put a call in?
Yeah, I've done it already, actually. Well, we both played with Alfred.
Yeah, Alfred was here, yeah, with the 2 of us. Nice guy. One of my, because he was at Leeds as well at the time, and one of my friends that used to babysit Erling, is that his name? Yeah, but you obviously don't know that, and then that he's going to be a genius, otherwise he could have signed him up at a younger age.
In terms of him as a player,
Agent
Paul?
Dunne.
Yes,
Yeah,
this is great.
Yeah.
Chances, do you think he might come here, and do you think he'd fit in as well?
He's a fantastic striker. He's, for somebody so young, and his record, not just at Dortmund before he went there, and he's absolutely smashing it. He's got everything, you know. He's tall, he's strong, he holds the ball up. His finishing with either foot is fantastic. He's quick. And he's just a fantastic player, the exact opposite of his dad.
Right, we need to have a quick...
Don't say that
He's not coming there.
We need to have a quick look at some of the social media messages. You guys can use that hashtag WNRH if you want your tweets, pictures and everything read out here on the show. We've got City Square Live. They've got our furry mascots of the week this week are scarf models Bluebell, Dolly, George and Merlin from Levine 52. And we can see that picture of them all in their scarves right there, looking very cozy. I think they're on the sofa. Then we've also got Jenna Panel, who's actually one of my friends, actually. She's tweeted in, and they have their blanket. She says, again, more pooches on the sofa with their Manchester City blankets. And then Poppy_MCFC has got Santan Sergio for the Man City mascot. I think it's a cockapoo. It's the cutest dog I think I've ever seen in my life, all wrapped up in their City scarf. And then we've got Faye wearing final one, Winnie the Whippet in her new City Xmas coat and her fave shirt. All dogs inspired.
Yes, dogs and City, it's like the real dream. Now, we're going into the nightmare part of the show now, to be fair, guys, where we ask you to make your predictions. Kyle, I think you started really well, but like most of us, you've gone off the boil this season. So quick, the teams are coming out. Paul, prediction for tonight?
3-0.
Yes.
3-1.
Yes.
3-1 from me as well. Natalie?
2-0.
There we have it. Right, we'll be back at half-time with you guys, so make sure you join us to look back at that first half as Manchester City face Olympiakos in Greece. We'll see you there.